Our next speaker comes to us from the state of Mississippi, where he spent most of his time before coming here to work for the New Orleans Advocate, where he's done a terrific job, pretty much covering everything. Started in prep and continues in that realm today, but also now as editor covering the Saints, the Pelicans, college sports, and everything else under the sun. He spends a lot of time doing it, I can tell you, having seen him everywhere and looking at his fine work each and every day. Worked for the Clarion Ledger and did a great job there in Jackson. It's great to have him now in our midst and doing an outstanding job for the New Orleans Advocate. Please give a warm Quarterback Club welcome to Rod Walker. Rod?
First, I want to just thank Ken for inviting me to speak today. And I want to thank the city of New Orleans. I moved here in 2013, and everybody just really embraced me, and it really feels like home, and I really appreciate that. I got to thank Ro Brown. I know he wasn't expecting it, but whenever I have a question about some New Orleans history or something, I can always call him. He's like a walking encyclopedia when it comes to New Orleans trivia, so I really appreciate all the help he's given me since I've been here. As he said, I worked at the Clarion Ledger in Jackson, which is a statewide newspaper in Mississippi, and you know, we take a lot of pride in football in Mississippi. You know, we boast about Walter Payton and Jerry Rice and Archie Manning and Brett Favre and all those guys, but the football here, the high school football in New Orleans is just, it's incredible. You know, the first year I moved here was Leonard Fournette's senior year, and Speedy Noel and Gerald Willis and Malachi Dupree and all those guys. And I couldn't believe how good the high school football is here, and that's just a credit to all the coaches here that have done a tremendous job. I want to tell a little story about back when I first started in this business. People in New Orleans will be able to appreciate this, but I was working part-time at the Clarion Ledger back in 97, 98, and there was a running back from Morton. We put together this list before the season. It's called the Dandy Dozen, and what it is the top 12 high school football players in the entire state of Mississippi. But anyway, there was a certain guy who got left off of that list. We didn't think he was quite good enough to make it, but anyway, he went on to start at Ole Miss, and then he, you know, ended up being drafted by the New Orleans Saints, and he's the leading rusher in franchise history. So he still gives us a hard time about leaving him off that list. So if you ever see Deuce, just ask him, did he make the Dandy Dozen when he was in high school, and he'll laugh at you, and he'll say something about me probably. But anyway, we always laugh about that to this day. That's one that we definitely missed on. He's proven himself, and he was honored on Sunday as one of the top, you know, 50. He made the Saints all 50th team. And I'm here to actually talk about the Saints. And if you went to the game Sunday, that was probably the only thing that was really worth cheering about. They stunk it up pretty bad. I'm not sure why Ken got me to talk about the Saints after that performance, but here I am. It was a pretty, I would say it was the worst performance of the season. You go back to the Falcons game, I mean, that one was pretty bad too, but those were probably the two worst performances of the season. And now I think they have a small room for error. I mean, they have 4 games left, 3 on the road, and, you know, they have Tampa Bay twice and the Falcons once, and both of those teams are 2 games ahead of them. So, I mean, there's still some hope, but the window's really closing on this team. And, you know, you look back at that game on Sunday, and it started off bad. There was a snap that Breeze wasn't able to handle, and they only ran the ball 12 times. And Detroit did a tremendous job of just keeping the Saints offense off the field, and, you know, just talking to some of those guys in the locker room after the game. That was sort of Detroit's game plan, and they were able to convert on a lot of third and longs. I think it was 3 out of the 6 third and long conversions Detroit was able to capitalize and stay on the field. And, you know, I looked up some stats the other day, and the Saints are actually 30th in the league when it's 3rd and 10 or longer. Teams convert like 30% of the time, and I mean, if you can't get them off the field, I mean, it's going to be a problem, and it's starting to bite that team. So then Josh Hill broke his fibula in the game, which was also, you know, something bad. And I thought Sean Payton had I'm not sure if you remember the play when Brandon Cook, he was on the 1-yard line, and they challenged it. And to me, that was a wasted challenge. I mean, because if you don't get it, you lose the timeout. If you do get it, I mean, it's first and goal from the 1 anyway. So I mean, I didn't think the challenge was even worth doing. But they ended up not getting the challenge and losing the timeout. So just a lot of things went wrong on that day, and now they have a Tampa Bay team coming up this week they're on a 4-game winning streak, really playing well. Came back on Sunday to win, and they're in first place with the Falcons now. So this is almost a do-or-die game, I think, for the Saints. I know every week it seems like we're writing them off, and then they'll do something to keep us hanging on and thinking, okay, maybe they're going to make the playoffs after all. And so now they're sitting at 5-7, and they're really on the brink of missing out on the playoffs for a 3rd straight year. And so that's where they are. And while I'm up here, I guess I'll speak a little bit on the Pelicans too. They lost a double overtime game on last night to Memphis, and this is a Memphis team that was missing a lot of its key players, and the Pelicans still weren't able to win. Anthony Davis had a really good game again, and that's sort of been the story of this season. And both of these teams are just, you talk about the Saints and you talk about the Pelicans, and both of them have just been inconsistent all season long. You don't really know what you're going to get out of them, and that's the state of New Orleans professional sports right now. I guess I can throw in that I am a supporter of the name Baby Cakes. I know most of you hate it, but we're talking about New Orleans professional sports. But that's about where we are right now. I'd like to thank these high school coaches for giving us something really good to watch this weekend, especially the 2 coaches in Algiers. They've really done a tremendous job, and I'm not sure how Coach Brown and Coach Powell were able to come up with, to get these 2 outstanding quarterbacks they have, and then you got Coach Jenkins as well with John Trey Kirkland. So some really good quarterbacks will be on display in the Superdome on Saturday. So just wanted to mention that as well, and I'll open the floor for any questions you all may have for me.
Questions? Anyone?
High school, Saints, Pelicans, whatever.
Do you see the Pelicans making any kind of moves? They got Tyreek Evans, who's hurt right now, and obviously he's not being used. But do you think they can move him for some pieces that can help right now?
I think there's a possibility, and he's expected to come back, any day now. I guess next week we'll probably end up seeing him. And I think if he shows some flashes of what he was back in Sacramento when he was Rookie of the Year, we see that Tyreek. He's definitely a guy that I think they could, you may could see move around.
Yep.
Thanks for having me.
All right.